This is part 3 of my video series. So today I will show you step by step how to build an email sign up page. So let's jump into index.php. Currently it just shows it works, but here I would actually like to have my email sign up page. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It explains to your web browser how the website is structured. Let me begin with a title. And the title is called an H1. H1 is a big title. And inside of this tags, we can write the text. Sign up to my email list. Save and reload. And as you can see, it got bigger because it's an H1. It's a title. And now what we need is we need a field where the user can input the email. So let's create a form. A form needs an action, and the action is basically if the user enters something and then presses submit, where should this form be sent to? And so I will create a page that will be called signup.php, and this is where I would expect this form to be sent to. And we can also define the method, and I will use post. Most of the time you will use get or post, where the big difference is post is basically invisible to the user and get is using a URL. I'm sure you visited a URL where you saw this parameters in your URL, and this is what is called a get parameter, and post is basically under the radar, so it's not directly visible to the user. And we will use post here. And now inside of our form I would like to have first of all a label, and this label is for my email, and the label is called enter your email. And then we have the actual input. Now we use input email, so it's an input of type email, and the name will be email, and the ID will also be email, and it is required. This means that the browser will prevent the user from submitting as long as they don't enter the email address, because it's a required field. In the end, I need a button to submit the form, and I will call it sign up. So let's save it and let's go back to the website, and we reload it, and I got my HTML sign up form. Very great. So I can press it and it tells me I need to fill it out. So if I press hello, oh no, I still can't send it because my browser knows that it should be an email address. And so I need to enter hello@trashmail.com, sign up. And now it worked because it looks like a valid email, and this form now gets transported to signup.php using the post method. This is the next part. So for now we're done here, and we will create a new file. So I will right click on my email sign up, create a new file, and I will call the file signup.php, because as you see, the object wasn't found. There is no signup.php right now. So we need to create it, and there will be PHP code. So this is how we execute the code as PHP. We will need a database connection, of course, because I would like to save the email addresses. Include database connection.php, semicolon. And next step is we need to open the connection. And we can use the function open connection that is stored inside of database connection.php. Next step is first we need to check if the user actually submitted email. And we can access email using the $_post. It's an array, and there will be an entry called email if it got submitted. And we need to check if it is set. So if it's not set, then we die, of course. We die with email field is required. You might think this is not possible, right? Because the browser prevents us from effectively sending the form without email. And that's true. But there might be an old browser, there might be a bug in a browser, and there might be a hacker that directly sends the post requests. It's not too hard to do that, actually. So we need to be aware of the possibility that we actually get a form submitted without email address, because everything is possible. And if there actually is, we don't really need it, because if this happens, we die, and so we can safely continue. Save email to filter var. Now we can use filter var to make sure that this is a valid email address, because again, we can't rely on client-side code. This PHP code will be executed by our server under our control, and whatever is HTML, it's not safe because it runs in the browser of the client. And we need to define how it should be sanitized, and it's called filter sanitize email. So this way we will remove all of the characters that are not allowed. And we can also, before we filter it, we can trim it to make sure to remove any white spaces. Doesn't hurt. And I don't know if it's really required, but better to be safe than sorry. So I will take the whole thing and put it into MySQL real escape string. So now this is an absolutely clean email address. Before we continue, we can take a look at the email address and see if this sanitation works. So let's print the email address and reload the page. hello@trashmail.com. This looks great. So this works. Now we need to check if the domain of the email address is in our list of temporary emails, right? So let's extract the domain. How can we extract the domain? The domain is the following. We will explode the email address based on the @ symbol. And this will give me back an array, and I'm interested in the index 1. So 0 is the first part of the array, and this is basically the name of the email address. And then 1 is the domain of the email address. And so we can try this, print domain. As you can see, now we only get trashmail.com, which is great. The next step is to actually check if this domain is in our list of temporary email domains. And now we'll do it like this. We will create the query first. The query will look like this. Select one from email blacklist domains, where domain equals question mark. This will return 1 if we found the domain inside of our database. And this is a different approach now with this question mark right here, because we will replace the question mark later on. And this is considered safer than inserting it directly into the string. So let's save the statement, and we will use MySQL prepare, and this will prepare the query to prevent SQL injection attacks based on the connection and the query. And now if this equals false, then something went wrong and we can die, of course. We can always die. Preparing statement failed. The query is prepared and now we can bind a variable to the query. Let's use MySQL statement bind parameter. This is our statement. S means we expect a string. We will of course insert our domain. We binded it. And the next step is MySQL statement execute. We will now execute it. And then we will store the results. Statement store results. And now here comes the interesting part. If MySQL statement number of rows of my statement. So if we got more than 0 rows back, then we know that this is a blacklisted domain. In this case, we can die, of course. Why not? Please give me your real email address. Let's see if that works. Continue. Fatal error. Great. Call to undefined function. MySQL store results. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, it's called store result. Let's try again. Perfect. Please give me your real email address. The trash email got detected. I can show you exactly what happened because we can copy this and go into phpMyAdmin and execute it here. So select one from here where domain equals trashmail.com. Go. The result is one row with 1 inside. And if we edit it to playduino.com, for example, this is a great domain, then we don't get back anything. So this is just the name of the column, but there is no row inside. We always need to close the statement in the end. MySQL statement close, because we're done with this statement. So if we didn't die yet in our script, then we can actually add the email address to the database. But we don't have a table yet, so let's create a new table and I will call it email. There will be an ID. It will be used as primary key, go, and it will auto increment. And we need an email address of varchar. We will use varchar to save some space. I will go with a length of 300, should be fine. And I can also select unique. So this is to make sure that the email address is only saved once. So if the email address is already inside, I don't want to save it again. Otherwise, I will send out the email newsletter multiple times and I want to prevent that. Okay, save. This looks great. So we can use this new table called email and save emails inside. I will again prepare a query. And the query this time is insert into email. The column is called email2 values question mark. And then we need to do the same thing. We need to prepare it. And if it's false, then we die. And then we bind it to, not to the domain, but to the email address, because this is our complete email address. And this time we want to save the complete email address. And then we can check if the execution worked. And if it did, we can send a welcome email. There are multiple ways to send emails. One is actually a built-in functionality of PHP. The downside is that it might end up in a junk mail folder because, for example, Gmail doesn't know playduino.com yet. So please check your junk mail if you sign up to my newsletter. And actually let me know if it was in the junk mail. That would be very interesting to me, because if every email lands in a junk mail, then I need to do something about it. And I might use something like MailChimp or something like that. But of course that costs money. Sending emails with PHP is free. So yeah, let's try this. Subject. An email needs a subject. So let's call it welcome to Playduino. Then we need a message, of course. So the message will be, thank you for signing up. You can download your source files here. And then I will add the download link later, I promise. We'll also add headers, so it should look like this. From no reply at playduino.com. This is where the email comes from. With dots, I can combine strings. So let's combine this string to \r\n. So \r actually stands for carriage return. This moves the cursor to the beginning. And \n is line feed, which moves the cursor to the next line. And this is the correct line ending for email. So that's why I'm going to use it. So we have a from, reply to, we can do the same thing again. And then one last thing, and that is called xmailer. And this is used to identify the type of the software that is used to send the email. And so in my case, it's PHP with PHP version number. And then we can send it. This happens with mail, subject, message, and headers. And of course we need to add the email address of the receiver. Otherwise we can't send the email. Yeah, so email address, subject, message, headers. Okay, then we can check if it worked. So if email, if we successfully sent the email, we can say successfully sent welcome email. Please also check your junk mail folder. Else failed to send email. If the SQL execution failed, we can die. Once again, statement execution failed. And then we need to close the statement and we need to close the connection. You can check it one last time. Let's go to this website. And now I'm going to use alex@gmail.com. Sign him up. Oh no, we got an error on line 50. Line 50. Yeah. Semicolon. As always. Let's continue. Oh no. There is an SQL error. Yeah, this needs to be in round brackets. So let's save it. Try it again. Okay, so we successfully sent welcome email. Please also check junk mail folder, but fatal error. Uncaught argument, count error, too few arguments and close connection. Oh, yeah. We need to close the connection like this. And now if we try to run it again, we get a duplicate entry because it's Alex is already in our newsletter database. So we need to check if the email is already inside of the database. So I will write a query, and this is select one from email where email equals question mark. So this will only result in a row if the email is already present in the table. Then we prepare it, check if something went wrong. Then we need to bind it exactly like we did here. To bind it, we need to execute it and we need to store the results like here. And now we can copy this. If we don't get any rows back, we will add the email address. So we will do all of this. However, we need to send the email here, of course. And we also need to send the email if the number is not 0. So else send welcome email again, because the welcome email was already sent to this address, but we will send it again. I will use a function for that, and I will use send welcome email like this. And so we can create a function somewhere at the top maybe. So function send welcome email, and the content of send welcome email is exactly this stuff right here. And now let's try it again. Yeah. And one thing is we need the email address as a parameter, of course, because we want to send it to the email address. And so we send it to the email address like this. Perfect. And if we do it again, yeah, email field is required. But Alex gets his welcome email again. And if we send the welcome email to Tina, also works. And now let's just check if we captured the email addresses. Perfect. So now we have a working sign up page. Let me know in the comments down below if you found any security vulnerabilities. Then I will fix them immediately on my website, because you can actually test this code already. I will give you the source code for free. Just visit the URL in the pinned comment below. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe to this channel. Leave me your questions down below if you have any. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.